Welcome to MarkWHO77 here on the YouTube channel of the 77 Publications. I'm so used to saying something about my other show, MarkWHO42, and where it's located, I got confused. So we're here at MarkWHO77. I'm Mark Baumgarten. The person should be next to me is Vicky Jakubowski. Hi, Vicky.
Hi.
And the guy lounging around on his bed in sunny Skegness, or no, Jamaica. I'm breaking the rules. Jamaica. It's editor-in-chief of the 77 Publications, Ben Cullis. Hey, Ben.
Hey, Happy New Year, you two.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, we haven't done a show in a little bit. We took a little hiatus, and yeah, it's 2024. So when you see the end credits, it'll say copyright in 2024, just so you know that you're in 2024. Okay.
Are you sure we're in 2024? Because I don't know anymore.
Yeah, well, you know. So I guess Sean Connery and other people will be wearing the Highlander outfits, and who else? What other movie? Oh, Boy and His Dog. So our dogs will talk to us in our minds. It'll be telepathy, and there'll be people living below, and like Ben is right there, living below. Okay. We are interviewing, we're going to have a great show today, but I want to talk to Ben about our favorite subject, the weather.
Absolutely. And more importantly, I'm not going to give you an up-to-date what's happening in Jamaica. It's sunny, 34. This day, or it was yesterday's day, 1977, the inauguration of Jimmy Carter was almost threatened with the weather. And did you know that it's the only time that there's been snow in Florida?
1977. Yeah, I kind of do. I didn't live here back then, but my grandparents did, so I came back and forth all the time. And they saved me a newspaper, the Miami Herald, with a headline basically saying about the fact that snow has never been there, and it's here. So that was cool. And I know all the kids, even though it was like a powder snow, they got to leave their class and go outside and play in this powder of snow. And you're in Jamaica, and I'm talking powder of snow. I don't know. Maybe.
I'm here resting up, relaxing, having a wonderful time. Yeah. Kirsty's on the beach. Kirsty says hi. Kirsty says hi.
Okay. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. Let's talk about the Kickstarter campaign that's going on right now for the 77 Publications. Blazer issue 4. Ben?
Issue 4, subtitled Blazer 2024. And that's celebrating a very important 50th anniversary, actually. So, yeah, it was first printed in 1974.
Yes.
The Kickstarter's halfway through. So if you're watching this and you're wondering, can you still pledge? Because obviously this is on YouTube as well as going out elsewhere. The Kickstarter dates are gonna. You see, it finishes on the 11th of February, through to the 11th of February, which is great. So we're on target to get the funds we need, which is always good. There's a graph that I follow every day, even I'm on the beach, and it's doing the right thing. A Kickstarter graph is a very fascinating thing to follow.
and if you
as long as it's moving upward, that's all that matters, right?
You got it.
If you want to support the Kickstarter campaign, go to Kickstarter.com and in the search bar type Blazer.
Yeah, it's a project they love, apparently. They love it. So it's got the stamp of approval. Yay. Steve McManus was very, very pleased about that. But he wanted to wait till I'm back really to do some more promotion on it. And we had a couple of friends who were finishing their Kickstarters, and we didn't really want to kind of fill the airwaves with more stuff about 77 stuff. But yeah, it's the first one of the year. I could briefly tell you about the schedule. We've got the new 77 number 10 coming out next, and then we've got a kids comic, proper kind of, I think the reading age is 7 to 11, because we have to honestly say that when we're in a convention and those erstwhile parents come towards you with the little children and they're going, "Have you got something for them?" Our reading stuff is kind of 12 mature, so we are deciding that we are going to do something to resolve that issue.
I wanted to point something out. Yeah, Ben, I wanted to point something out. So you're going to have a kids comic, and our guest today, I'm going to be talking about Regined a little bit, and that's kind of like a kids comic, and the controversy. We'll get into that. I just thought I'd bring that up. So Ben, continue.
Sure. Okay, so Absolutely. So, shall we discuss our guest?
I think so. I think it's time to bring him out. So go ahead.
Okay, so we're going to meet and welcome Mike Walters, who I've been in touch with for quite a long time, waiting until he was free. He's got big projects going on. He's new on the scene. He won the 2000 AD Art Stars 2020 competition, or 22, I beg your pardon, 2022.
22.
And he's done some shorts for them. And yeah, so I met him at Thought Bubble, and as often happens, you know, you do get to chat in person and think that when something comes along, and I was like, oh, you know, we're fully paginated in here, there, and everywhere, and suddenly he's going to be doing 3 strips for 3 different comics for us. So
Wow.
he's probably going to have to tear himself away from working, I'd imagine. So
That is a really bad problem to have.
Yeah, terrible
I know,
problem.
it's a good problem for us as well. So
I hate to have
yeah,
that
really
problem.
looking forward to seeing Mike. I mean, I've seen the line work for his strip in the Transylvanian Tales, which is in Blazer. He's going to be doing another strip with Dave Healy's, or in Dave Healy's horror comic. This comic is Haunted. And then he's already done something called Smile, which maybe he'll tell us a little bit about for the 77. So really, really happy to have him on board.
All right. Before we bring him out, I just want to remind everyone that you see on the YouTube page, there are things on the bottom that say like subscribe and like. Please subscribe to the 77 Publications, and please like this show. We definitely like our viewers to enjoy it, and we'd like to skew the system. So definitely, if you don't like it, still hit like so we get the bonus points there. No, you're gonna like it. So guys, you ready to bring out Mike?
Perfect.
Absolutely.
All right, here we go. Welcome, Mike.
Hello. You all right?
Yeah, we're doing good. How's the weather? No, we that's one of our things on the show. We talk about weather.
He's in Manchester. There's only one topic of conversation. It's always wet. It's always wet.
Yeah.
Okay. Warm and wet, cold and wet.
On occasion it's warm, but most of the time it's cold and wet.
All right. Well, we're very privileged to have you on our show. Okay. We're going to be talking, you know, asking you questions, having conversations with you, you know, have fun for all our YouTube viewers to watch and learn. But I always like starting off the show with my hardest question. We ask the hardest question so that everything else, easy peasy, simples, we just, you know, get it over the hard stuff, and then it's all downhill from
downhill. That does not sound good, Mark.
Okay.
No, Mark.
It's already gone downhill. I don't think it's much way down. Okay, so I have my hardest question, the question we like. Who is Mike Walters?
Well,
told you it was hard.
I mean, I knew this question was coming. I watched your Steve McManus episode, so I knew that was going to happen. And I sat there thinking, how the hell do I answer this?
You can't use Steve's answer, I'm afraid, Mike.
Why not? It'll be fun.
Yeah, you should have prepared. We're show prep. Show prep. God, I'm
whatever
Steve
these, said, no. But no, that's it. I'm just some nerd from the north of England. Been reading and drawing comics since I was 17 or so, something like that. So about just over 10 years. I've always been into like nerd stuff. Like my sort of first foray into it, I suppose, was Star Wars, which I'm sure is the case for a lot of people. But then, yeah, when I was like 16, 17, when it was the same year that Avengers and Dark Knight Rises came out, and they were like back to back. And yeah, just I thought they were cool, and I was just like, let me see if there's anything else about these. I'd always been drawing, and they just seemed like a natural sort of way to go. Right. But yeah, and I'm just a nerd.
So that is Mike Walters, and we're done. Bye, everyone. No. Okay, so you started. Okay.
Yeah, we're just beginning.
We're just beginning. It's only just begun. All right. So you gave some of your geek creds, Star Wars, Avengers, Batman. Are there any other things you like in geekdom, since you are a geek, as you say?
Well, I mean, it varies. So, for me personally, I follow artists more than I follow like stories, characters. So like I'm a big Jim Lee fan, big Todd McFarlane fan. I'm not gonna lie, it's more toward the American stuff. That's not to discredit, 2000 AD or any of that stuff. That's just where I started. But like, I'm gonna show off for a second. Hang on.
All right.
I've got
He's
one
got
of these
goodies.
fake monsters, the artist edition ones.
Ooh, yes.
It's like one of those full-sized book things. I'd hold up the Todd McFarlane one, but it's gigantic, so I won't do that. But I like looking at, just looking at the art and stuff like that. It sounds weird. I'm a comic artist fan, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Like,
So if your career takes you where you hope it does that mean you would be working stateside then, Mike?
Would I have to welcome
so,
you in my house and grant you some beverage and food?
I'm closer to California.
Well, but aren't comics in New York, or they used to be? But I don't know. I don't know how it works. I'm just a geek.
I believe Marvel still is. I don't think DC is.
Yeah, I know.
Marvel and DC Studios are closer to me.
Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah.
I'll just keep saying, but yeah.
I can't remember where DC is now. Burbank, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure they're down that way somewhere.
All right.
They're owned by Warner Brothers, and I actually did a tour of the studios a few years back.
But then if you think about it, Marvel's owned by Disney, so why isn't that? Okay, I don't know. So you answered my next question about you answered my next question about some of your favorite artists. So I'm going to ask you one more, and then we'll go to Vicky. How long have you been creating art? How long have you been an artist?
I've been drawing for as long as I can remember. So, like, I always had my grandma used to say to me, "You're going to be a cartoonist when you're older," and I guess she was right. I've started seriously doing that. I've got something else to show you now. I started seriously doing it in college because one of my teachers said that I should do it, and actually, that is my first comic that I ever made.
Oh wow!
I was 17 or so.
Okay,
it's terrible.
Nice. No.
But yeah.
It is.
It's
We're
awful.
always our own worst critics.
Yeah, we are. Well, I got to tell you, my early comic work, because I used to draw stuff when it's not just me. It's awful. It was awful. So it's not just what you think. It's everyone thinks.
Is it worse than your jokes, Mark?
Okay. So okay, hold on. Vicky, you know Mr. Bill from Saturday Night Live back in the 70s?
Yes.
I did Super Bill comics.
Oh no.
Yeah. I drew him perfectly, but everything else was bad. Anyways, for our Brits, for the Brits watching out there, it means nothing what I just said. Okay. Vicky, why don't you ask the next question? Because I'm gone.
Well, let's move on to something more fun. Let's talk a little bit about Thought Bubble. You were awarded in 2022 with Tom Watts' Thought Bubble, and you won writing Future Shock. What was that like?
I mean, it's strange, and I still pinch myself, to be honest, because like that's just one of those things, isn't it? Like you go there thinking, I'll get some feedback and it'll be a worthwhile trip. But then now they said, yeah, my Walters, and I was like, excuse me, But that wasn't the most surprising thing. The most surprising thing was I did my initial Future Shock, and I thought that's probably going to be it. I not to be. I mean, I'm always denigrating myself, but I just thought that might be it for now for a while. And then a week before it was due to release, I got an email from Matt Smith saying, "Do you want to do Love on High?" Which, funnily enough, was drawn by Anna Morozova, who was one of the judges on the panel. So it's kind of ironic that she was one of the judges, and I ended up following her on that.
That is so awesome.
I will say, don't look at the first episode. That's all I'll say.
Okay.
Because I don't like it.
Yeah.
So
You're
Mike,
getting your feet wet.
do you know that Anna drew the first episode of Starnav, written by Alan Hebden in Pandora, which is one of the 77 publications? I don't know if you've actually come across that work. So
I've not seen it yet. I know that she's done work for you, but I didn't know.
Yeah. We'll be making an announcement later in the year about a major project, but she's wonderful, isn't she? And her and Philip support us incredibly, actually, I must admit. So what was it like? You were there. I was there a couple of years earlier, not as myself, having to stand and be judged, but supporting a fellow artist. And I got to admit, it was quite a spectacular show. I don't know how you felt being part of that show, and if you'd like to describe what actually happened.
And it was just terrifying. Like, there's no other way to put it. Because there was like a slight pause as well. I saw the slide go over, and I saw my first page, and my fiance was there with me, and I felt her like squeeze my hand, like, "Oh, it's your turn."
Yeah, but they're projecting it behind you, aren't they? And it's in an auditorium, and it's
exactly.
a live.
Oh,
it's a live
wow.
critique. Oh, it's absolutely astonishing. Yeah,
It's
That
evil.
must be nerve. Oh wow. Nail biting.
Talk about like just kind of take your heart out of your body, put it on the table, and just fillet it right in front of you.
But you guys, in a way, we do this. We do that kind of thing every time we record this, don't we, Ben and Vicky? We're out there, but yes, I can see how terrifying that could be, Mike. Oh my God.
Yeah. Especially being that there was one judge, I can't remember her name, but the other judge, other than Anna, was what's his name? Steve Yall, who did Zenith.
Yeah.
So he's another great artist. So to have him be one of the judges, as well as Anna, whose work I was aware of at the time, I just thought I might as well just walk out here. This is terrifying. But
can I ask, what did they like about your work? What did they say that spoke to them?
They said I did really good faces. I remember that. But I'm not gonna lie, a lot of it was white noise. Just because I was just like,
once they start talking, you kind of get zoned, and you're just freaking out a little.
Yeah, pretty much. But it was like I remember that. I remember Steve Yall saying, "Do I use reference?" Which I do, but mostly for like shadows and stuff like that, not really to copy like some people do. Oh. But then he said, "I can't hear you," because I was speaking so quietly, because I was just, like I said, terrified.
I think your artwork was speaking for you there, Mike. To be honest with you, it's. I mean, we're gonna put this up, and we'll be having a look at it as well. But definitely. It's a tremendous piece and very accomplished. What were the constraints like when you're working with a script and you have to, how many pages it's got to be, and it's a competition piece. Did you feel you wanted to really put all the bells and whistles on it?
Yeah, I did, and because it was, I can't remember the exact story now. It was something about a hoarder, and there was police going into his house, and it was described as being very sort of cluttered and all that. So I spent a lot of time building up all the clutter that was in this guy's house. So there's little Easter eggs in there as well. Like there's a few 2000 ADs in the background and stuff like that. Old TVs, just
nice little sneaky touches.
Yeah, there's an amazing fantasy in there too somewhere, but I can't remember where.
Wow.
But yeah, just it's weird. And at this point, I'm sure Matt Smith is tired of me, because I email him every now and then going, "Have you got my work?" But
just want
probably sat there going, "Oh."
Jump in there for MarkWHO77 listeners who happen to be watching this. Matt Smith is not Matt Smith. Different, no relation, nothing. It's just Matt Smith is Tharg. and the other Matt Smith is the Doctor. And let's get that out of the way.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
It's
Just
amazing
wanted
to
to
think
clarify.
that next year, I think it's next year, I could be corrected here and I should be knowing what I'm saying, but I think he's very close to celebrating 20 years as the editor of the comic, which is way in advance of
Wow.
mine.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right.
I thought it was 2005, but if I'm wrong there, then it's not by much.
Now that you're working, you do work for 2000 AD because of the win. Three of the stories, of the four stories that have come out already that you've done, the ones that are low-born high, are solely in the Regened issues, which I know there are the issues that are edited by Tharg's nephew, Joko Jargo, and it always interrupts the flow of the other comics that are in the strip because, you fit it in there just to fit it in there. And I know there are a lot of people, who have a problem with it, who say that the kid should just get their own comic. And see, this is where I was talking about, Ben, their own comic, when you were talking about the 77 comic. What is your opinion on that? Are you one of the people who don't, I mean, because you're right, you do the art on it, so I mean, you do like it, but what is your opinion on that controversy?
I can see both sides of it. So I can see why it would sort of interrupt, you know what I mean? Like the flow of it and all that. And I've heard some people say, just do a new comic, just do its own standalone thing, which I do agree with, and partly because it would give me a job, hopefully.
Well, because if you think about it, the purpose for the Regine comics are to get new readers, the younger people, but then the very next issue, they're back to violence and nudity and adult stories. And so it's like you're trying to get the kids into what you don't want them to get into. And it's just kind of, I have a problem with that. I have a problem because you're trying to get new readers.
It's one of those, like, you pick it up as a kid and probably be like, oh, this is good. I'll go and see what next issue is. And then you get the next issue and it's someone getting the head blown off.
Yes.
Like that,
Okay. I mean? Yes. That's exactly what I'm going with. It just doesn't make sense to me.
I do see the point. But at the same time, that I think some people can be a bit too against it. I read a comment somewhere about the last Love on High, and there was some guy saying, I've never wanted something to fail as much as this. And I was like, oh, you must have like no friends or something like that.
Because I love Lowborn High. That's one of my favorite. I mean, if I'm going to go with Regine stories, that's one of my favorite. And your work has been really good because I've noticed that every script that you've done, art that you've done for the scripts, has had some kind of monster in it. Really, and they've been really well done. I mean, even the polar bear, it's not really a monster, but that was so well done. How do you get along with the writer, David Barnett, and do you have any script input, or are you just doing the art? I mean, do you do the Marvel method, the art?
No, so the script is panel 1, this happens, panel 2, this happens, so on and so forth. It's not too restrictive. Like, there's been some where it's like, there's this in the background, and there's also this, and this. And by the way, can you put that in there? And it's just like, well, how am I supposed to draw this thing? You know what I mean? But his scripts are quite easy to work with. But there wasn't really a great deal of input. The only thing that I got to do completely off the top of my head really was the Jinn demon thing in the second episode.
Oh yeah.
And I sat and read the script, like sat in bed, and I just thought, I'm looking forward to that one. Like, it's page 11, I think. And I was just like, that's going to be a good one. That I'm going to enjoy that. But yeah, I'm happy with that design. To be honest, it's got a nice spectral look to it. But yeah, and then the polar bear was fun, and everyone kept saying, "Is it Shaco?"
I didn't even think of that.
Literally, everyone was saying, "Oh, is it Shaco? Is Shaco come back?"
I don't know how I missed the boat on that one.
But that's what everyone said. Like all the comments. Oh, why did they shoot Shaco? And it's like, what? They just said polar bear.
Read the old comics, folks.
Yeah.
Oh God, that's funny. Vicky, you want to take the next question? I'm
Yes,
gonna laugh
okay.
a lot. You take the next
So,
question.
every artist has a different process for how
Mhm.
they do things. Now, whether you're working from a script or you're doing freelance work or anything else, what is kind of your process? I've seen a couple of things online that you've posted, but I think that some of the people watching this might like to know, how do you come up with a drawing? I mean, some people take pen to paper and you've got a pile of wadded up paper sitting next to them.
Right.
Yeah, you think about some of the old images of comic book writers, and I've known some artists, and everyone kind of has a different way of getting to the heart of what it is they're trying to do. How do you get there?
So what I always do first is I'll sit and read the script a couple of times through, just to get a sort of picture in my head. Not even putting pen to paper at that point, just sitting and for lack of a better term, sort of watching the film, as it were. Which sounds weird, but it makes sense to me. And then I'll do
Yeah.
little sort of thumbnail drawing kind of things. So I used to do it on paper. I was looking for, where's it gone? Oh, there it is. So like I've got a splash page in this Blaze story that I'm doing, and can you see it? I don't know
Yeah,
if you can
yeah,
see it.
we got
Oh,
we got
yeah.
close up. We got
Uh-huh.
close
Like,
up.
that's my thumbnail for it, and then I just went straight to penciling from that.
Gotcha.
What?
But that's because I'm drawing that on paper. When I'm like a lot of my not a lot, all of my 2000 AD work has been digital,
Yeah.
and I did that on my iPad. So I'll do more or less the same thing, but obviously it's on an iPad, so I can just blow it up and draw over the top of that. But at the same time, I've shown my pencils, and use this lightly, to some of my friends, and they're horrified because they're that loose. Like you couldn't ink them. Like, they're just scribbles, and then I turn the inks on, and there's eyes, and there's a face, and all this kind of stuff. I sent it to Tom Newell, who's I believe has done some work for you, Ben. I can't remember.
He has, yeah. Tom's done some work with Techno Freak with John Charles, the early issues. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and he's also in 2000 AD and all that. We went to university together, actually. That's how I sort of know him. And yeah, we just sit side by side, drawing page after page. But that's a tangent.
I've got to thank you now, by the way, Mike. You very generously offered a page up for the Kickstarter. And I told you it went, but I don't know if you knew it literally went in the first half hour of the Kickstarter.
I didn't know that.
Wow.
Yeah, it flew. The first piece of artwork that went. So long may that continue. I love the fact that you work traditionally as well. So it's good to hear that you are penciling out. And obviously, I take it do you do full inks, or do you render now on a?
Well, I'll show you now. Like there's the page that went.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's the
wow.
page. That's the page.
Yeah, that's the actual physical page, and then I don't know if I should show you the next one, but
yeah, I don't think you blocked in the ink. I think you just done pencil when I'd seen it. I think the initial scan you may have sent over. I can't recall. I
can't remember, to be honest. I will tell you a funny story about this.
Do you fully kind of work with fully realized digital work as well, or you kind of mix between the two, or do you always just ink? I'm fascinated to know.
So for all my 2000 AD work, it's been fully digital from start to finish. Part of that was because, excuse me. Part of that was because I got the script for the first Future Shock while I was on holiday for Christmas. I was in Skegness, and
isn't that where Ben is right now in Skegness? Isn't that? That's where you are. That's where everyone thinks you are.
Yeah,
that's where
it's a very nice version of Skegness. But no, I was down there, and I had my iPad with me, so I was just that excited to get started on it that I drew it there, and then it more or less became my process. But then for this one, I thought I'll have a crack at the paper again for a change.
So that's the strip you're doing, Transylvanian Tales, written by Dave Healy, which is going to be in the Blazer 4, which is kickstarting until the 11th of February. Mark, can I ask another question if that's okay?
Oh, you can.
Yes.
You're the big man. You're the editor-in-chief.
Yeah, well,
go for it.
So obviously, I keep an overview, Mike, of what's being produced by the other guys, and obviously Dave Healy has an issue. So Steve McManus's Blazer, to give its full kind of credit. Dave Healy's This Comic Is Haunted, which I'd like to ask about in a moment. But obviously, I know that we first chatted when we were talking in Thought Bubble, and then we kind of loosely just had a conversation between ourselves. It went back and forth a couple of times with regards to Smile. So I don't know if you want to tell us a little bit about Smile and which publication that's coming in.
Okay. So just to build it up, so Smile is a story that I have written and drew myself, with colours by Darren Stevens. And that is based on my time working in warehouses, mostly through lockdown. But it's a bit of a exaggeration, obviously, because it's comics. I can do my own thing. But I remember always seeing adverts for like working at Amazon, and they've all got big smiles on their faces. They're all dead happy, and oh, it's a great place to work, and all this. And so I thought I'd just play on that and make it the most horrific version possible. I won't tell you the sort of kicker of what they do to you, but it was fun to draw. Let's just say that.
Oh, I love it already.
And I've got to tell.
I live in a town of warehouses, so yes, this is going to be fabulous.
It was fun. I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed getting that sort of frustration out, because again, you always see those adverts, and it's not like that. Nobody is smiling.
I think it must have been a flow of subconscious as well, because your rate of work there. We were talking one day, and I think by the end of the week, you'd pretty much done it. I think once you'd been given the go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Was it like just automatic drawing? It was all coming out, was it?
Well, I'd had the general idea in the back of my head. Like I was going to use it for a different story, and it was going to go from there. But then as soon as he said, "Oh, I've got like 5 pages that you can have in the 77," sorry, forgot to mention that. Yeah. It's in the next issue of the 77. I'm not very good at marketing.
We'll help you. Don't worry, honey.
I'm the publisher.
Yeah, true. But yeah, as soon as he said like you need a sort of 5-page story, that popped into my head, and I thought, well, I can use that.
And you wrote it yourself. So do you feel that I mean, you have a background project as well, I take it, but you're comfortable with actually managing your own work as well in terms of scripting and development then? Is that something that you feel, would possibly be a feature?
Well, I do have that thing that I've sent to you, which I won't go into. It's a very big sprawling thing, which I've written the rest of now. It hasn't ended now. Which it goes to some very dark places, but again, I won't go into that.
Well, I'm perfectly happy for you to discuss work you're doing with other people, and if that other British anthology is something you're still working on, you're more than welcome to tell our viewers about it.
Yeah, we talk a little bit.
Other British anthology.
Plugs, go for
it. So I do have a Future Shock coming up in 2080. I don't know when. I need to ask Matt. I finished that in like October, so it's been ready for a little while. But that one I went all out on, like, because I was getting that much sort of flack for Love on High because people didn't like Regened.
Yeah.
That I wanted to be like, oh, I'll show you, And so I spent ages on that. Like there was one page I think I spent like 14 hours on, something like that. And it's a crazy page, but it was fun. And you'll see when it comes out. But then I've also got something for Time Bomb Comics, which I'm I'm working on slowly but surely. It's 48 pages, so it's a monster of a book.
Wow.
I'm on page 11 right now, so not very far through. But I also work a day job, so there is that. I was there today, unfortunately, but
What's a day job? No.
yeah.
Gosh.
Vicky.
And it's no longer in warehousing, I take it, is it? So that was
No,
your COVID job.
No, it's in a kitchen, so I don't know if that's better or worse.
Well, as someone who's
Depends
had
on
a
the day.
sideline of working in kitchens, I take my hat off to you. So
It's not bad. It's not bad, but
yeah.
can be stressful.
Yeah, Mike, I have a question.
Yes.
I don't think I've asked this of any of our artists before. If you were to be given the opportunity to draw a Judge Dredd strip, would you do it? And would you be excited to do it?
I mean, I thought there was going to be more to that. Yes.
No. It's a we asked the hard. Wait a minute. Let me get a zoom in on myself here while I say this. Hold everything. I said the first question was going to be the hardest. So this was supposed to be an easy question. So yeah, I wasn't going to go on for too long. I just wanted to know if you could draw Judge Dredd, would you do it? And I guess you'd be excited, but I mean, yeah, that's the question.
I think first off, like I said, yes, absolutely yes, 100%. Like that is, I don't always read because I subscribe to 2000 AD, so I get it through the post box every week. And 2000 AD, fuck yeah. Judge Dredd is the story that I always read, like without question. You know what I mean? Especially now because they've got a story with Henry Flint on the art, and it's
just magnificent.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite Dredd artists, to be honest, modern at least. Obviously, you can't beat Carlos Oscara, but
no, but I mean, if I've followed Henry's career, and we're both from the same part of the world, and I've known his work for 25, 30 years. What I love about Henry Flint's work is that it is still developing, and he's still finding techniques, and he never stops exploring. You look at he does he does impressionist art, and he does completely modern art, just as a completely away from it, working in color just to keep his ideas fresh. So when he comes back and does the work for 2000, it's just, he's always got something new to be thinking about. And I think it's testament really that he's now, I would say, he's 53, 54, and he's producing his best work right now. It's amazing.
Yeah, because when I first started picking up 2000 AD again, I picked it up a little bit when I was in uni, but I started picking it up again after the competition happened. And it just so happened that Henry Flint was on Dredd, so that was even more reason to pick it up every week.
Was that the Small Room or something like that? Was he doing?
No, it was Buratino Muscari.
Right.
But Small House is another one that's fantastic, and again. If you've not read it, read it. It's great.
I'm pretty sure, as a lot of really experienced artists do, they bring a lot of vocabulary to the work, and clearly it was an interdimensional story, wasn't it? It's that kind of interstellar. They're in the books, kind of the library stuff, and Henry's quite esoteric when it comes to his imaginings and Hey, so you're going to be going to Lawless as a guest of ours, and of course, I think Henry Flint's there. Dan Cornwall, who's only dropped the buses a few years before you changed your working in the warehouses, Mike. And John Wagner's going to be there. So have you met John Wagner before?
I met John Wagner at Thought Bubble this last year, and I have to laugh because I just asked him, how's the convention going for you? And he's very, Scottish tone. He says, it's going all right. To be honest, I'd rather be in the pub. It's like, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, so I had to bring the promotional copies of Bogeyman, the incomplete case file, because the 77 publications managed the Kickstarter and assisted with the publication of it. And John was just thrilled to have something new to be at a convention with. And we're hoping that we'll have news later in the year potentially about Rock the God. I don't know if you followed his and Dan Cornwell's Rock series.
I've not read it, but I would like to at some point. I've just not had the time or money really to get it.
So you're a comic book artist who doesn't have time to read all the comics he wants to. That sounds
about right.
From the publisher's ear, that sounds absolutely perfect. So I think you need to be getting back to the drawing board right now.
That is pretty much right. Like I've got, every other time I'll buy comics, and my fiance is like, "Do you really need another one? You've not read this one yet." Like, yes, I do.
It's research. Tell her it's research.
It is research. But ironically,
do you know what? And do you know, Mike, what the really famous and the reasonably successfully well-off artists, what they all do? They buy the artwork. They never stops. They just buy the more expensive artwork and the more expensive books, and it just carries on.
If I could afford it, I would buy the artwork. Like that's.
Yeah, well, you could study it, couldn't you? I mean, I've had the pleasure of seeing Glenn Fabry's artwork. We had to do some printing of 9-page story he did in the 77 annual #1, and he did a cover for one of our variants for 77, and the work was posted to me, and you open the packaging and it the very essence of what you'd imagine artwork from Glenn Fabry was like. It had a certain pungent aroma, should we put it that way? And, he's a smoker, he'll tell you, he's a smoker and stuff. Yeah. And I had to take it to the print shop to be scanned. But in my possession, and I handled the sales of the pages which went off for the Kickstarter, it's that thing, isn't it, of sitting up close, looking up close at some artwork. You get so much more information about how they approach the inking and where, which was the first layer, second layer.
Yeah.
I guess that's something that's perhaps missing and more difficult to decipher from digital work. I don't know whether you trying to respond to digital work, or is that something you can do when you're, as you say, doing your research buying comics, or are you looking at it in a different way?
I just look at like the structure of things and like rendering sort of methods and all this kind of stuff. Yeah. It's not really about sort of how it looks on the page. It's just how that's particular thing has been drawn. That's what's good about those artist editions, is that, like, particularly the Jim Lee one, because some of it's old, you can see where the whiteout is. Like the paper's yellowed, but then there's big white splotches on it where they made mistakes, which is fantastic. And it's the same with I do own one piece of original art, which I thought the frames broke, which is why it's not on the wall. But it's a page of hang on.
Oh.
I'm just getting your reflection here.
Yeah.
It's
oh wow!
It's by Stephen Austin.
Yeah, I recognised it. Yeah, I think you showed that to me in the flesh as well. Steve was just a couple of tables down, wasn't he? And was that a commission piece? I.e., you knew you were buying it, or did you just on the day decide to pick that particular page?
So what it was that.
And does your girlfriend know you've got it?
Yes, she does. No, I bought that in 2017, I think, or 2018. I did the competition that year, didn't get through or anything like that. But it happened that Stephen was the one that drew the script for that first. So I was going to buy the first page because I'd done something very similar to him in my attempt. But then I came back the next day and it was sold. So I just ended up settling for that one. But you can see on one of the figures there that there's a big, like, thick, amount of whiteout that he's used. Like one of the guy's chests comes out physically, which is funny. But yeah.
All right. We're coming to the end of the show. I hate to say that. I want to go through final questions. Vicky, do you have a final question for Mike?
I do. What is it like getting to meet and work with some of the people who've been in the industry for a while, and you admire and want to emulate?
Good question. That's a good question.
Surreal?
Yeah, I have to think about that one. So obviously, I haven't really met that many of them, to be honest, that I've worked with. Like I met Matt Smith again, not Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Who he just struck me as being a very sort of quiet person, like and very sort of soft spoken and to himself sort of thing. He didn't have a great deal to say. Like he picked up a few things, said, this arm's a bit iffy and so on and so forth. But then he just said, yeah, we'll put you through to tomorrow. And I was like, sound, that's good. But then I haven't, trying to think of who I've met that I've been sort of nervous about. Like I say, I was a bit nervous to meet John Wagner for some reason. Don't know why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. He's a
So do you know?
I've only met him
John's tweeted.
over the
over the
video,
thing. Yeah, it was good.
and I was a little in awe. So
Yeah.
I just
So
thought
do you
quickly
know,
what was
guys?
happening.
Steve McManus, when he heard that potentially Mike could be on the way to Lawless, insisted that he shared the Blazer table. So Mike's going to be sitting with a legendary Thog.
Wow, that's great.
Which
And
again,
obviously
is
the
another-
editor of the comic that he's working on there. And I'm going to keep, like saying, mentioning it, but Vicky, Lawless, 2024.
so
I
far,
know, she's
it
going.
looks like it's a go. I'm waiting. We're hitting up. I have a couple clients. If they don't pay up, I'm screwed. But as long as the clients pay up, we're booking the flights this week, and we'll be in Bristol.
So we're gonna do part 2 of Mike's show in
Yep.
Bristol.
I want to promise our viewers that during Lawless
Yes.
we will record.
We will record.
Bi-coastal.
We'll record right
international
out of the
show
pub.
for you to watch.
Oh, Vicky, you're going to be doing, obviously, you're going to be recording who wins the gala awards, the
You
ceremony.
got it, darling. Whatever you want.
We'll have footage. I'll have them take some footage and we'll put it in the video.
We'll put that sneaky camera in the green room. So, Mike, what other shows are you doing this year coming up? Do you get invites, or are you just really at the moment attending as a fan and an exhibitor rather than necessarily as a guest? Have you had guest invites yet? You're our guest. I know that, Lawless, but
I don't think. Well, first off, no, I've not had any will you come to our convention kind of thing. And to be honest, I wouldn't want to presume that. I don't want to email MCM and be like, why am I not on the guest list?
Oh, we'll fix that, honey. We'll fix that.
They're watching the show. We'll fix that.
But I'm aiming to do MCM in Manchester. I don't think it's called MCM anymore, but aiming to do that again, just as like someone with a table. I'm trying to think of what else there is. I'll be doing Thought Bubble at the end of the year. I'm going to try to anyway. Just because it's always a really good convention.
Well, you're welcome to come and guest again for us if you fancy that. We can arrange something. So
100%, yeah, definitely.
It's a 2-day event. So even if you could find time to meet some of your fans morning or afternoon one day, that would be just great.
Yeah, absolutely.
I hate putting our guests on the spot here. It's like I'm saying, sign on the dotted line. You've made this agreement now. We have a video.
We have it on this. No. Usually I don't ask a final question, but I have the rest of the question that you thought was going to be more detailed.
Okay.
So we talked Judge Dredd. What other comic strip in 2000 AD, which comic character would you like to draw that you may or may not ever be able to? I mean, really, what are your dreams of doing in 2000 AD?
I'm going to say Rogue Trooper. Just because I did when Zarjaz was still a thing, which I believe it's coming back actually, but before the untimely passing of Dave Evans, I did a 2-part Rogue Trooper story in that, and unfortunately you can see where it sort of lost steam at the end because the artwork just kind of goes like it starts off really strong, but then it kind of gets downhill. But I was in uni and I was busy getting drunk.
Which version of Rogue Trooper? Friday or which?
I could tell you, to be honest, I don't know the character that
Probably
well.
the original.
Yeah,
Yes,
I would
the
hope
old
the
school
original.
one in
Because
Zarjaz.
Friday was kind of it was.
So I'm still waiting for We all are, I think. Supposed to be a media release this week from Duncan Jones about the upcoming. It's an upcoming Rogue Trooper film. So it would be very good if you did do Rogue Trooper, because it would be hot, hot, hot. Is all I'm saying, Mike.
Sounds it.
But no, that like they did one last year, didn't they? Which I thought was fantastic. It was Garth Ennis and
I love
the First World War one, a bit of a Charlie's War, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So I saw Garth at Lawless discussing it.
We got to get Garth on the
Patrick
show.
Goddard,
He's
that's
a big
it.
hero of mine.
Patrick Goddard was the artist for that. That was it.
There we go. Yeah, Patrick was there. Yeah, if you want Garth Ennis, Mark, you got to ask Steve McManus, because Steve McManus gave Garth his first job.
Do that.
Troubled Souls in Crisis comic.
Yeah. Okay. So, Mike, I want to thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you.
We loved having you. But before we go, we have to do a little bit of housekeeping. God, get your tongue right. Ben, housekeeping, go.
Okay, you can follow the 77 comic on Facebook, Instagram, and anywhere else where there's any kind of social media. The Big Cartel, or the 77comic.net, is the address for our online shop. Apologies for anyone who's made an order recently. I'm on holiday and I'm not processing stuff. So I'll be back when this goes back on the internet. And yeah, MarkWHO77 is on the YouTube channel, 77 Publications channel. As Mark has said, share, subscribe, like. What do they do now? They buy people cups of coffee as well. That's a feature we could get as well.
You've also got the Facebook pages.
Yep, absolutely. And obviously Blazer is kickstarting until the 11th of February. Thanks for the opportunity to say all that.
All right. My housekeeping, please, if you like science fiction, both comics, Star Wars, Star Trek, Doctor Who, please go to MarkWHO42.com or look on your various podcast platforms around the world for the MarkWHO42's Universe podcast. We took a break from MarkWHO77. We took a bit of a break there, but we're going to start up our shows. So please, you gotta listen. It's a great show. We have some really good guests, including people like Ben Cullis and the 77 people. Okay, I think we're done. We got the housekeeping. We got the Facebook thing, not the Facebook, the YouTube thing. Once again, Mike, I really want to thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you.
All right. Until next time, guys. Bye. Oh, and stay lucky.